Hi, my name is Marita Tyrolt. I'm the horticulture director here at Red Butte Garden and Arboretum. I wanted to talk to you today about Xeriscape. And a lot of people in Utah really misunderstand Xeriscape. I find that if you want to get the most accurate information, that you would go to the Colorado Water Board website, who are the people who coined the term Xeriscape back in the early 1980s. Xeriscape has 7 principles that are incorporated to truly make a landscape a xeriscape. And I like to think here at Red Butte Garden, our water conservation garden, I'm standing here in the Water Saver Terrace, but this is an example of Xeriscape done right. So on the 7 principles of Xeriscape, the first one is planning and design. And just like any landscape out there, whether it's Xeriscape or any other type of design that you hope to be doing, first you're going to make a plan and make a design. And you're looking at things like, what is the relative sun or shade in your area? Where are you going to water? Where are you not going to water? What are some different microclimates? You know, maybe there's some low spots in your yard that collect extra water, or something like near a downspout. Or what are the hot and dry areas of your garden? And you're looking at all these different factors and more just to come up with a design that works for you. Another principle is soil improvements. With any landscape, it just always helps to start to look at your soil and see if there are any amendments that would be necessary. And soils change very radically in Utah across the valley. So some of us have very high clay content, like us here at the garden, and we need to add things like either expanded shale or Utilite or other products to improve the drainage. Other locations have a lot of sand, and so you may want to be adding some organic matter to just help hold more moisture into the sand. One of the key principles of Xeriscape is plant zones. And this means designing your landscape by the various requirements that plants need. Some plants need more water, some plants need less water. Some plants need more shade, some plants want less shade. Some plants are able to just really take it hot and dry, and others would really suffer for that. So it's really taking a look at what you've discovered about your own yard and the microclimates and what you have, and designing a landscape that really takes into effect all of those things and puts plants that maybe need more water, more shade, maybe on the north or the east side of the house, and putting things that like it hot and dry on the west or the south side of the house. But anyway, designing things according to plant zones so that things that like similar requirements are planted together. And that moves into the next principle, which is efficient irrigation. After you've designed your landscape according to plant zones, then you're going to want to design the irrigation system to do the same. So each of those plant zones would have their own separate irrigation zone and could be programmed and watered according to those zones. I think these 2 principles of Xeriscape is really what makes Xeriscape different than other programs. Another principle of Xeriscape is using mulches. Mulches are really great for our Utah landscapes. It helps reduce the soil temperature, it helps reduce water loss from the soil, and it also suppresses weeds. A lot of times you can use like an organic mulch, such as compost or a shredded bark or something like that. And those kinds of products are good for a lot of landscapes because when they biodegrade, you can also increase the organic matter into the soil. However, a lot of xeric plants don't like moisture next to their stems or to the base of the plant. And so in those cases, you're going to want to use a gravel mulch. Another principle of Xeriscape is turf alternatives or using less turf. You know, look at your yard and see how much turf you really use. And there's ways to either reduce the amount of turf and have more into planting beds. Maybe you make a patio, but you can also plant something other than what is typically used in Utah, which is bluegrass. Our amphitheater lawn was planted several years ago in a turf-type tall fescue, which uses less water and tolerates the heat better, and so it looks really great this time of the year. Then the last principle, last but not least, is maintenance. Every landscape, no matter what it is, requires maintenance. Just to stay up on any deadheading that may need to be done, any pruning, cutting back plants at the end of the year or the spring, depending on when you're going to do that for your yard, but also maintaining irrigation. Even if it's drip, things kind of loosen and maybe get some damage over time, and so you need to stay up on irrigation maintenance as well, just to make sure that your plants are getting watered adequately and that you're not losing water down the curb because that one connection was broken, and that of course is wasting water, which none of us want to do. I also wanted to explain the difference on a couple terms. Xeric does mean that after establishment you no longer have to water those plants. But that's not what Xeriscape means. So Xeriscape, as I mentioned, has the 7 principles, and to me, again, the key is that you are designing and irrigating plants to their respective water requirements. Your yard, as a Xeriscape, can have several different types of plantings throughout the yard that are all designed and irrigated according to those respective plant zones. Another term, sometimes it gets confusing, is a lot of people think that maybe native plants are all xeric, but they're not. Utah, again, is just a very diverse environment. We go from the mountains to the salt flats to the desert and to riparian areas. And so if you're thinking about using native plants, that's great. But do your research and find out where in Utah that plant was native to, because if you incorporate that into your landscape, then you're going to have to put it in the correct zone with the other plants that like the same requirements. Finally, again, if you want the best information on Xeriscape, go to the Denver Water Board website. And they have a lot of information. They have sample plans on what you might do in your yard as a Xeriscape. Anyway, I just think it has a lot of great information. If you want accurate information, that's the place to go. Thanks.